everyone to the Grammar Literacy event for this last session of day two. We're going to be talking about teaching our children to read and write in the home language. It's always something that is daunting, but it can also feel even more so when the language that we want to teach is an opaque language like English, where there isn't a one-to-one correspondence between the what we see on the paper and the sounds we hear. So to talk about this topic, I'm delighted to have Ricky Magee with me. He's father of two trilingual children, to whom he's passing on English, and he lives in Spain. So he's also the founder of Next Level English, that is an online platform that supports fluency and literacy through fun lessons. So welcome, Ricky, and thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Yoshido. It's great to see so many familiar and new faces talking this weekend, and really looking forward to rewatch some of the videos later on. But thank you for having me.
Thank you. And before we get to the interview, I would like to remind everyone that you're giving away a subscription to Bookr. Do you want to tell us a bit more what it is?
Sure, Bookr Class is it's the online reading platform I use to supplement some of my classes. So this is an animated library of different books that I use to supplement my literacy classes. These can be enjoyed either through audiobook style or just reading yourself, and then every book is followed by a series of games and interactive activities. So it's really nice, I guess, a complementary resource that we use in our classes. So.
Yeah, and by the way, I love how you can move from one screen to the other.
Sure.
I need to learn how to do that.
When I'm working with the kids online, it's really important for the things that we do to flow, right? Where we're moving from one lesson
Yeah,
to one activity to the next, and it just makes things much more fluid.
yeah. And so thank you for explaining about what Bookr is. So just to remind everyone that if you want a chance to win the subscription, you need to watch this interview that you're doing right now, but you need to let me know as well on the Google form that you want to win this, and also to leave a comment on this video, a question, any question. So if you have any question you want to ask, feel free to add it as well. And any comment is appreciated as well. So to start with, can you tell us, so we're going to start a bit more about your personal life with your children. And so how old are your children, and in what linguistic context are your children growing up?
So my boys are currently 10 years old and 8 years old, and we live in Barcelona, Spain. So the community language and school language would be Catalan and Spanish, and then our home languages, sorry, are English and Spanish. So I would speak in English to the boys, and my wife would speak generally in Spanish to the boys.
Okay.
In a nutshell.
And Catalan is just in school, or do you have family as well who
We
speaks Catalan?
also, their grandfather that lives in the east of Spain speaks Valenciano, which is quite similar to Catalan.
Ah,
There's also
okay.
that fun connection as well.
Okay, thank you. And so living in Spain, what do you find helpful to teach your sons to read and write in English? And also, are
Well,
there some challenges? Maybe we can come to that after. But
well, I think first of all, the biggest in my experience as an educator and what I've seen and viewed and experienced over the years is that just children in general are reading less. So that was always on my radar that I wanted to try to motivate them to learn. I also had my experience as a child where I really wasn't a motivated learner. I didn't enjoy reading as a teenager really, or as a child. I
yeah,
enjoyed being read to, but the action of reading I never much enjoyed. Okay, so I was one of those statistics, one of those boys that just didn't enjoy. So I didn't. I wanted to create an environment where, first of all, reading was fun, and because it was in my mother tongue, and we were already raising them bilingual. I was really conscious that I wanted to try to to deal with that and to support that skill and not leave that skill out. So yeah, it was always on my radar, I guess.
okay. And is there anything you find helpful? So, for example, I'm just thinking because English is such a widely spoken language, and yeah, so for example, when I go to Korea, I know that in every library I go, there is a section of English books. There is nothing for French or anything, but English is always there. Is it the same in Spain or?
Yeah, that's a huge advantage we have. There are some local bookshops which sell English books, and they have a huge variety. And that's, I guess, in general, and even online, the resources that we have access to for English are immense, and that is like one of the strongest. I guess in Barcelona, we're also really fortunate. We have quite a strong community of English speaking families, not necessarily all from English speaking countries, but English connects a lot of businesses here, and so there is a community and activities for kids in English. But also, I guess one thing that's really helped us has been the online community and the resources that have been available to support both myself and families we work with. That's been a great, I suppose, a great supplement. So the community and having, I guess, being connected to others who are doing the same thing is a great help. It really has been.
Yeah, and like many like every I guess multilingual family, we have some challenges in like when we want to raise multiliterate children. What are the challenges you have faced personally as a family?
I mean, there are challenges for any family, I guess, raising a multiliterate child. In our circumstance, I guess, in English has this unique kind of thing where we are in Spain and for many places, whereas it's already taught in schools, right? So children are learning English, right? They have English classes and once or twice a week, depending on the school. So it's already there. But it's taught obviously at a very different level where,
Yeah,
when you're raising a child bilingually, they're at a level of fluency which doesn't fit with that beginner, entrance level classes. So that's one of the, I guess, the big misconceptions. But also, as you say, the opaque style of English. It's that many people that aren't aware of that or fully the systematic methods that there are to teach it. That
yeah,
that when you go through the Spanish or the Catalan language system, which is very transparent, right, where letters and sounds match quite clearly. There's that mismatch where, okay, well, reading should take this long, but hang on, why does it take this long in English? So it's just that. So yeah, that's another, I guess, another hurdle. And then I guess it's managing the input and balance of literacy in three languages as we are at the minute.
yeah.
So that's always a fun challenge in getting it all, that sort of that juggling game we play.
And so having two transparent languages, so Catalan and Spanish, and one that's opaque, do you feel it has had any impact on your children's enthusiasm to read in English
Well,
or
I
not?
think that my general approach to reading with the kids has always been enjoyment and following their interests, right?
Yeah,
At the core, I'd always preach to every parent is like follow what they love, follow their interests, and read with them regularly, make it a positive experience because that does, that reaps huge rewards overall. Um, so yeah, that is the first sort of step to it, is them seeing literacy and reading as something to enjoy. But then with English, it's been about giving them the tools that they need to do it, right? Not expecting them to
yeah,
just read or just like pick it up, where they're actually systematically taught the sounds and we practice and we play, and then they know that, okay, well, that's what these three letters make. That's that sound. So
yeah,
so yeah, giving them the tools to do that has been really important in that journey. And then lastly, I guess not just making it about reading, because language is never just about reading, right? And making it fun and engaging for the kids, so where it's very big game based, and yeah, that they can communicate. They're communicating in classes. You were talking about their interest, their latest book that they've been reading. I guess another advantage of the online classes is that we can do things that you couldn't do in a classroom, like, oh, we've got this new story, this new book I've been reading. So yeah, we get that advantage as well, I guess, online.
yeah. And I think so. One thing I'm so just it made me it reminded me, sorry, of when I was teaching my children to read in French. So we live in England, so the language they were learning to read in class was opaque, and French is quite opaque as well. Um, and I remember that at first I was thinking, okay, all these like EAU that's pronounced O in French, that might be something that they would find a bit strange, but it went like, how do you say, it went really smoothly. And I had the impression it's because in school it was already like that. They just took it as, okay, in French as well, it's like that. So nothing very special. But yeah, in English and Spanish, it can be different. But like you said, if we focus on the enjoyment, that might not be so much of a challenge.
Very much. And I think them just being the important part is them being aware as well that language is not just read as it's seen. You know, there are other languages that are read in different ways, and as a bilingual or multilingual child, that they have that awareness as they grow up. It's not like a shock where, oh my goodness, I have to write this all of a sudden, and it's nothing, doesn't look like it sounds. So yeah, giving them the tools.
And one thing I have enjoyed as well is reading your blog. So I have linked it in the description below, but in your blog, one thing you talked about is the difference in the time it takes to read or to master reading and writing in English compared to Spanish. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, as I learned, I guess we raised our children reading in Catalan and Spanish through the local teaching methods and supporting them through that. Um, and my experience of phonics and programs, and just seeing that, I guess that the progression is it's very fast. The progression is expected to be quite fast in Spanish and Catalan, where the sounds are taught, and then they're taught in pairs with vowels, you know, and then it's kind of hopping onto words, and then you're off. You know, it's kind of, you've got the building blocks, and then it's just a matter of practice, practice, practice. That this doesn't work with English. It's a much more systematic, a longer approach, because English has influence from all sorts of languages, you know, Latin, Greek, Germanic, French, Italian. We get all sorts of influence in the history of English, which makes
Yeah.
the spelling rules somewhat inconsistent, we could say. So yeah, but like the hurdle I wanted to I guess work on was that there were teaching resources out there, okay, for obviously for teaching children to read, but I wanted to deliver them in a way that was mega fun, like mega fun, and also that went with a pace that bilingual children can manage, right? And the families can manage as well,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we're all restricted by the time we can invest in passing languages on to our children. So those are the hurdles that I wanted to sort of work on.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned as well, making it really fun is so important, especially when it's additional to the school where they're going. So during the week they go to school, they're expected to be learning. They see everyone around them learning, so it's normal. But not everyone has extra lessons of English or whatever language they have at home. So having to deal with this emotional aspect of them having to do additional work, if it's play, it's a lot more like they want to do it, but when it's work, it's less like this. And what you mentioned about having pairs, so when it's a lesson to you go to and there are other children as well, I guess it works a bit like in class where because everybody does it, then you're fine doing it. But if you're on your own, putting all this effort, it's a lot more difficult.
Oh, absolutely. No, I've been asked, you know, oh, do you do one-to-one lessons? And there's a few reasons why I don't. Number one, it's not a natural situation. Just have a stranger sitting with child for 40 minutes. Okay, for me that's one of the loops. But also, I guess that sort of that interaction and motivation where they see others others learning and others speaking their language and wanting to play the games as well. In any environment, children are much more motivated when there's other children there, and I think that's why the small group classes I try to put together really work, where they motivate each other. I'm not
Yeah.
the only teacher in the class, right? They're sharing their own thoughts and ideas about things as well. So it's
Yeah.
really nice.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about your next level English a bit later, but I wanted to ask you about how the multiliteracy journey started with your children. So when did you start, or why did you start at that time?
So I guess it started super early, like from literally reading to baby in mommy's belly, and then reading to baby like always. It was always so I was a bit of I guess somewhat monolingual before we had our first baby, and yeah, I just wanted to. I had this inner need to raise my child with my language, to be able to obviously share and
Yeah, yeah,
enjoy and be a part of their life as their father. So that was obviously where it started. But I always knew that as a language educator, that stories have huge potential for passing on many things for our children. No, for educating them about things, for using the bathroom for the first time, and just broadening their vocabulary at a level that you can't do with other media with younger children.
yeah.
And I always had that in my heart, and that really pushed me to just really read to them all the time. And it came from my father-in-law. So my wife is Spanish, so and when we had initially got together, or when we're having our first child, he was like, "So, how are you going to deal with the boys reading and writing in English?" And it was like this
Oh,
message. It's like always hearing my father-in-law, this meant like this question in the back of my head, and it's like, "How am I going to do this?" Like always sort of taken over, and then it was kind of like the pandemic that pushed me into it, where I saw face to face the English lessons that my eldest son was sort of receiving in school, and I thought,
yeah,
no, I've got to get on this. I've really got to start to working on it. And as well, I was motivated when I sat down with him one day and asked him to read with me, and he said, "But Daddy, I can't read in English." And I was like, "Oh, oh, okay, we're gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this." So that's been it, step by step, working with him, and then my youngest, and then that's sort of grown with more families, our friends around us asking for support for their kids, and now over 50 families working supporting their kids. So it's really,
oh,
really,
that's
really.
great. So it's growing, and so if you started in the pandemic, it's not even like about 5 years then.
Yeah, this is our fifth year now, and some students still with us from our first year, so that's really, really cool. Really nice to
See
see
them
that.
growing and
Oh,
improving
to
as
see
well.
that evolution, this summer, I got some videos from families I work with their children just reading happily in the parks or wherever they were. And it's just, for me, it's quite emotional to see their fluency evolve as well alongside my own kids. So it's great to see that impact, really.
And so one thing I found very helpful as well, especially to as a tip to give to parents, is to have routines, um, reading routines, etc. And I was wondering if you had any in particular that you had with your children. So reading every day at the same time, or doing that because you say you want to do lots of fun things. Anything in particular that you would advise parents?
So, I mean, anything, I think it's driven down parents' throats to read to their kids. You've got to read to your kids, read to your kids from all angles in all languages. But I think in our busy parents' lives, fitting that in can be a struggle. And then for me, I guess the advice that I would give is like when you have that time to sit down, like make it their time with mommy or daddy. Like make it a time when it's theirs and consistently and have the patience to let them ask a question, or you might be really
Yeah,
tired. It might be the end of a long day, and then they might be reading a Peppa Pig book for the sixth time and asking the same question for the same amount. But you just have to be there and be patient and let
yeah,
them have that and see it as a positive experience. And I think always having that positive, not like you've got to read bam bam bam, but just
yeah.
making it positive, I think is super important in that
Yeah,
process.
and you have to never really works for a long term. It can work for a while, but it's never a long-term plan.
No, absolutely, and I think I've had to evolve, and we all have to evolve with our children as they grow, right? And
Yeah.
their patience level and their tolerance level. So yeah, that's something we all have to be flexible as parents with them as they change and learn. So I think progress. I'm a big fan of progress. Like as long as they keep progressing, like I'm happy. With same with all my students, as they're motivated, they're happy, they're progressing. That's brilliant. Like we can't ask for much more. So yeah.
And because you work with many families, you might have heard maybe too often. So that they worry about confusing their children if they learn to read and write in two languages, so English and the language they have in school. What do you say to these parents?
I think yeah, it can be a common issue where it can be an easy thing to blame for a wide range of whatever's going on in the child's life. Like, well, oh maybe it's just too much for them, so it's overloading them, and we just cut that out. All right, but what I've seen and what's very clear from research, but also from all the progress, is that children are very capable of learning to speak, read, and write in multiple languages. I mean, we are very, very capable beings, and it just takes the right support, consistency, and for children making it fun, making it interesting,
Yeah,
make it part of their curiosities, and that's really the key in
yeah.
that.
And
Um, I guess yeah, in terms of the families that I work with, the majority are raising children with more than two languages. Usually it's three, sometimes four or five languages.
oh wow.
So it's not, I find the older the children get that I'm working with, I hear they're starting Chinese or they're starting Russian or, they're starting more languages because they're very curious already. They have a natural flair for, well, a natural, I guess they're used to, living in a multilingual environment. So yeah, it's nice to see.
So now we'd like to talk a bit more about next level English, so what it is, etc. And this morning I said that it was like a online Saturday school. Is that a fair description, or would you say differently?
I guess so. I guess so. So I do teach classes Monday to Friday, so it's like after school
Ah, yeah.
program. And then I run events some weekends here in Barcelona for local bilingual and multilingual communities. So the majority of the classes are after school time, and the small groups of children connect between 2 and 5 children, and we have children from 4 up until 14 at the moment in groups. And yeah, really fun, really engaging, interactive group lessons tailored to the needs of them as they evolve. And in small groups, the teacher can get to know them very well, and also they can motivate each other, and really, they make their friends online, and they're playing games together. So it's a really fun environment to teach in, and very accessible, right? This was the key thing for me, was that no matter where families are, they can access from home, in a comfortable environment with access to cool things that are relevant to the kids' lives. And so yeah, that's sort of and what we do. So it's after school program. Obviously began with my kids, and then my I guess my want for them to have more regular contact with other kids that spoke in English
That's true, yeah.
while accompanying them in their literacy journey. I thought that was a good match. Getting them together and doing it online, it's something I literally couldn't do physically. Okay, if I take my local community in Barcelona, and this, because people aren't going to travel far, so it's got to be within 10 or 15 minute walk. So I've got to get enough students of the same age, same
Yeah.
level. Age isn't so much important, but the same level of literacy needs, and then get a space, and then the materials, and then the programming. And it's just impossible. So when you present that in an online situation, well, yeah, the families can join from different places. There's
Yeah.
families have been running late, and they've joined from the car on the way, and they've still been able to take
Oh,
part in class. One student, bless her, even joined from the hospital. She wasn't well, but she still wanted to connect and see her friends. So her
Oh,
mum asked, "Is
that's
it all right if I connect?" And I was like, "Of course it's okay, bless." So it's just access and convenience for families that want that. I guess that extra, because the majority of families that I work with, they're already working with their children's language at home, and it's an extra, right? And I think it's how we can often achieve success when it's a multi-pronged approach. It's not We're not the only
Mhm.
ones.
And I think that like because it's online, people can connect from everywhere. The only um like difficulty could be the time zones. So for example, someone who is in Spain and someone who is in Thailand, maybe they can't connect at the same time.
Sure. At the moment, like the majority of the families I work with in Europe, first of all, mostly Spain, where I'm based, but also in France and Germany and in Italy. And there's families I'm working with. But as I say, it's a small community at the moment, and we are a growing community. So we'll see where things go. Um, but like I say, the online platform is very flexible, and where your teacher really gets to know the students. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and so from personal experience, I know how different it is from teaching in person in a classroom and teaching online. Like, for example, when I teach, I use a lot of games, but when it was the lockdown and I had to do something similar online, it was so difficult. And I was wondering if you could give us a little insight into how your students learn in their lessons, or yeah, what you offer on your platforms, or their
well,
like,
it varies very much. Okay, so we're talking from kids that are 4 years old, some of them emerging bilinguals, all the
yeah,
way up to fully confident readers who are focusing more on their writing skills. So the classes are very different, tailored for each group. But I suppose an example for the younger kids. So, well, what color are Ricky's eyes? Can you guys remember? This is so in our very first session, just getting to know each other, simple questions, things that are easy to them to respond to. Very visual, right? Children are very visual, so this type of setup where every activity we do is engaging, interactive, and gives them the sort of that need to produce language. That's often the hardest part of our whole equation, right? Of raising, I guess, bilingual and biliterate kids is that need and that. So it's by making the activities engaging, or if they're of a reading level, motivates them to want to read stuff, right? It's a basic, that basic
yeah.
motivation, and providing many different games and many different topics for the groups I work with. So yeah, it's just making things fun. This is really simple, making it really fun. And one of the comments parents have often made is like, Ricky, they love your classes because it's not like school. It's not like
Yeah,
school, so it's just something different. And yeah, the children do get very into the games and activities. So
I guess that's what we need to aim for, like not to copy what they do in school, but to do something different. And so if we as parents do it with our children, like we need to like to do the kind of things we do with them. So not try to be the teacher, but try to be a parent who's playing with their children. And yeah, so because it's different to do like an online lesson to be in school or to learn with their parents.
sure, sure, sure. I know every environment's different, and every parent has a different level of confidence, right? As parents
Mm,
that I've started working with that have sort of had a go or done their best over the summer, but just felt maybe the child was disconnected, or over the summer is not a time where they want to be engaging with learning. So, I guess with regular, consistent classes in a comfortable environment, can offer a lot of help. It's like little support regularly can really build up a lot of skills, and it's clear in both our boys and my students know that it really helps. And it's wonderful to even see the children over the summer where their confidence has grown, and they're reading in our first lessons back, and I'm like, oh wow, you've been doing great over the summer. That's awesome to see. So it's super motivating as a teacher as well to see that evolution.
and so earlier you were saying that so you saw your sons learning English in school. So obviously, learning a language as a foreign language is different than learning it as a multilingual, like when it's our home language. Is there any way you make your lessons specifically for multilingual children?
Well, I guess my classes are in English and immerse the children in English, but I'm very language friendly, right? So often, I don't know, maybe one of the younger kids won't have I don't know how to say that in English. Una regla. And they're very welcome to use another language. And the other children are there. They always hop out. Oh, that's a ruler, Stephanie, or whatever. So it's great. But it is a language-friendly environment, and I guess we also mention cultural celebrations. Like culture for me is a huge part of language and the languages we're raising the boys with. So yeah, the culture's hugely connected in parts of our lessons, and that's a great flexibility where I guess I'm not having to follow a national curriculum where everybody's got these specific aims and exams they've got to finish. It can be very flexible to enrich, our kids.
Yeah. And so I think generally when parents are looking for Saturday schools or complementary schools, it's because they want their children to learn to read and write. I guess there are other benefits as well, but I have the impression from what I've seen around that parents often think of Saturday schools because they don't know how to teach their children to read and write, so they want a professional to do it. Um, so first, is this why the families, well, maybe we'll start with this, is this why the families come and see you in the first place?
I guess I guess first of all, when I started the program, I had this sort of idea of the types of families that would benefit, right? Families like mine, maybe one parent was an English speaker, the other not. But
Yeah.
really, the range of parents I now work with go the full spectrum, all the way from where both parents are from an English-speaking country, and they're living in Spain, to where one parent is English-speaking, to where neither parent was a native speaker, but possibly have a fairly strong level, and also single parents, right? So who have the extra challenge of having one input from parents. So we have a huge range, but I guess the benefits of having that environment online allows us to connect them all. And sorry, go back to your original question.
So I was just asking if parents generally seek out your kind of school because they want their children to learn to read and write. Um, and
It's not.
also,
I guess
so you said,
it's not always. So I guess the younger children I work with, they're much more communicative,
hmm,
where they are given much more chances to talk, or we're starting to introduce, the single letter sounds. I feel that helps a lot with their long-term just pronunciation of reading in English, but it's just, you can make it very fun as well and have letter sounds and finding things at home. So I guess it's not always the initial intention, but I guess for many parents where English is on the radar, of course they want speaking, reading, writing, listening. They want their children to grow up with a package. So it's generally in most people's radar, but just depends when they join me. There's children sometimes children join. Imagine 9 years old, where they haven't had any kind of phonics input, so their reading is fairly fluent, but when they write in Spanish phonetics, for example. So this is where, well, we have to go back to some of those earlier sounds where they haven't picked up, and allow them a way to pick those up and practice them. So yeah, I guess it's as an educator, I don't want to leave students with holes in their language ability, and it's always been about having communicative literacy lessons where we can adapt them for the needs of whatever the level of the student is.
yeah. Thank you. And I think, yeah, like you mentioned, there are quite a lot of other benefits than just learning to read and write. It's interacting with others. And I guess also knowing that you're not odd because you have another language, because maybe especially children who go to a school where it's mostly monolingual, or at least that's what they perceive, that other people don't speak another language. They can feel like maybe they don't want to show that they speak another language, but when they're in a group or in a school where they see that others speak the same language, or it can be others, but then they feel a bit more, they accept a bit more who they are, and they might be a bit more open about
Mm.
it.
Yeah, many of my students, including my own kids, they talk about being in a club, right? This is their English
Ah,
club, and just gives I don't know, they're just that extra proud of being part of that, I suppose. And they're
yeah.
part of their daddy's English club as well.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is actually related to what you do at English, Next Level English. You mentioned earlier that you were also organizing events, cultural events in Barcelona, and I saw in some of your posts before the holidays that you're taking some teenagers to Nepal. Is that all part of it, or is that something completely different?
So it's my other passion. So I've been working for,
Ah,
gosh, maybe 16 years or more as an overseas expedition leader. So I travel to the developing world with teenagers, where we work on leadership and resilience and different challenges. So that's something that's separate to my, I guess, September to June next level English program. I do that for a short period during the summer. And it's something that I've, well, done both with teams in the Middle East, and the UK and Ireland and South Africa as well. So that's I guess, my other passion. So I love travel, I love languages, I love culture, food. I've visited around 40, no, 53 countries now.
oh wow.
So that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm looking for ways to bring that to Spanish children at the moment. So that should be another interesting interesting exploration. But for now, that's sort of separate. But I'm looking to offer these types of excursions in English to kids from Spain in future. So let's see. Watch this space.
So when I guess, yeah, whether it's multilingual children who have English as a home language, or it can be Spanish children learning Spanish English. But yeah,
Honestly, there's the immersion, like having immersion like that in English, where you're not just working in language, but also your resilience and your leadership skills and your group skills. It's an amazing place to put language into practice, right? Rather than just go on a language holiday. This is would another type of experience. So we're working on that in the moment to see how um, to bring that path from Spain. But that should be exciting. Nepal, absolutely amazing destination. We were in the Annapurna region, and yeah, a very impressive setup there. So I look forward
yeah,
to going again.
yeah. I just saw the photos online, but it looked really nice.
Yeah, wonderful. A group of 13 teenage girls and two teachers from the school from the UK. So a great
Ah,
experience.
okay. 'Cause, yeah, I think it's always really nice to do something else than just learning the language. So you do something, and well, part of it, you need to speak in a certain language, so you learn at the same time. But if you have like a goal, I think it's a lot better, especially for children. I feel like, for example, when I just make the analogy with when my sons, for example, they communicate with their cousin. When it's on the phone, they don't have anything else than just talking. So they don't talk that much. They just speak for a few minutes. But when they're together, they play for hours together because they have other things to do.
Yeah, it's I think the putting language into practice is really our ultimate goal, right? For raising any bilingual children or multilingual children, and giving them opportunities that are engaging are, I guess, a huge motivator for that. So you're right.
And so to finish, I would like to ask you if you have any advice for people raising families raising their children with English who live outside an Anglophone country.
I guess it's first of all to be just aware of the differences in the skill practice, I guess, when it comes to reading. consistency, like starting early, getting reading into their lives daily is really, really important from a young age in a positive way, right? Um, and meaningful, so that it's following their interest and evolving with their interest, or repeatedly the same book every night for a week, whatever they want to hear, just following that, let them guide you often. But also as they get older, presenting them with new materials to explore new ideas. Um, with our boys, I always focused on communication first. So when we're even reading a story together, and all of a sudden my son starts talking about that theme, but another idea, and he goes off, and we follow that, and we might talk about it for another 5 minutes, but the reading is not the ultimate goal. That communication first, where we're talking about text a lot, and asking him tons of things about the text,
Yeah.
just sparking his curiosity about the topic,
Yeah.
really, really works really well. Don't do it alone. There's loads of support. There are lots of really experienced people out there with all aspects of multilingualism, some of whom you've had speaking this weekend. So don't feel like you're ever alone. Like, there's loads of great resources out there, including resources from the Bilingual Family Charity, a guide to start people off, but also for specialist topics. So there's a great community of people out there, and many that have helped me sort of get to where I am with Next Level English. So that's a huge help, I guess. Patience, patience. Like, nothing happens overnight. Both of our boys are now fairly fluent readers for their age and all of their languages, but it's just been a very step-by-step, methodical process. There are times when it's working well, and there's times when it's harder, but just step by step. But be patient, and don't expect your children to evolve the same as other children in any language. No, children don't just follow this linear path in reading, and every child's different.
Even between siblings, even if they have the same parents doing the same thing, they're going to
Oh,
evolve differently.
absolutely. Different reading interests, different reading styles. In our family, we very much read a lot of different media now. The boys are 10 and 8, so what used to just be books, we now use ebooks as well. They're reading in the video games they play. I steer them towards story-based video games.
Ah,
So we're incorporating. Really, it's a big motivator in when they're playing to be reading. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, just their day-to-day lives, keeping them interested and active in materials. And I guess the last piece of advice I'd give is from my own story. Like, I did not like reading when I was a kid, and I urge parents, because I guess that buck stops with us to make that um, enjoyable, I suppose, right? Because you cannot leave it completely up to the school to make reading fun, and that's generally the
Really,
case.
yeah.
That's generally the case in across the world. So the more motivation we can give them for it to be fun, the more likely they'll be to want to take it up. And I guess that's the ultimate thing that we like. So
Yeah, I think it was the same goal I had with my son. So the same as you, I didn't like to read when I was a child, and I thought I'm missing out so much because it's it's a it's a barrier for me to just open the book. But if they enjoy reading, that's not going to be a barrier. The barrier might be that they read slower in their home language, for example, but if they want to read, they're going to read, and that's going to push them to read more. And yeah, so my first goal was for them to enjoy reading, not necessarily to learn to read, but to enjoy reading.
sugar, and it's the ultimate goal, because, like, I guess as the older they get, that the bigger that disconnect is, the bigger that hurdle becomes, right?
Yeah,
And then if they reach, well, or when they reach teenage years, throw a lot of hormones into that, and peer pressure
yeah,
can be really challenging. So I think who knows what it's going to be like when they reach their teens. I'm just doing my best for all the kids I work with, and yeah, just have that anchor to the language, where they can just be part of a little community of other kids, and see it as fun, and
yeah.
they enjoy it. Like they always like, Ricky, send more activities, send more games. Okay. I never use the word
That's
homework.
great.
We don't use the word homework here. They're just challenges, activities, games.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, lots of fun.
Is there any last thing you would like to say about Next Level English that we haven't covered that you think might be informative for parents to know?
Yeah, I guess if you want to get in touch, you can always check out my website,
Yeah.
nextlevelenglish.es, or you can just Google Next Level English, and yeah, you can book a call, and we can discuss your situation and see how we can support you. It's something that I guess that allows these small groups allow this flexibility of really tailoring each group and the materials for each group and their interests as well. And it's a huge part of is that giving them that extra motivation in the program, but also seeing progress, right? It's really important to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, check out my blog. I do. It's not as regular as I hope. Busy multilingual dad, so
Yeah.
also family responsibilities, as I'm
Easy.
sure you
Yeah.
can fully appreciate. But I do sort of build on it and build on questions that the community have. But I guess our for all of us, our ultimate goal is really to raise um, confident, multilingual, multi-literate children, but also, I guess, give them the motivation. That's the motivation is the challenge. I think that's what I try to overcome, is that getting kids really motivated, really excited. I'm quite tame today, but in the classes we're very animated. We're very like the wheel spinning. Let's go. Let's find something blue or whatever. Um, so yeah, it's just really making things fun, and
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, there's small group sessions from 2 to 5 kids, Monday to Friday in the evenings, and yeah, and then we have our local events program in Barcelona. So we now get, the community comes together, and we do all sorts of things together. We've had Easter and Halloween celebrations, but we've had wood workshopping and jewelry making and all
Wow.
sorts of fun activities. So yeah, that's another fun part of
Yeah.
raising the kids, getting them to do activities in English.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vicky, for sharing with us your family journey and about Next Level English.
Sure
Um,
thing.
so we are now at the end of day two of the Grand Multiliteracy event. And in about 15, oh no, a bit more, 20 minutes, I'm going to wrap up everything. So for the day, I'm going to do a little summary of each session for the people who were quite busy and couldn't join live. So you know which session you would like to join first. I'm also creating timestamps in the video so you can navigate the videos more quickly, or you can see the content by reading the description. And I'll be sharing my takeaways from these sessions, but feel free to come and also let me know about your takeaways, what you liked, what you've learned, etc. So I see you everyone soon, and thank you again, Ricky, for being here with us and talking to us about everything you do.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share about our little program here, and yeah, wishing you all the best with your children and your community.